I was at Cambridge Medical School for years, and so even though I had some of the hardest exams to do, I still managed to have a good social life and build some new hobbies. And then when I became a doctor, I realized that I was the only one on the ward looking after 24 very ill patients, and so you could say that I know quite a bit about time management. And so I'm going to give you the truth about time management that nobody seems to be talking about, and some no BS practical advice that you can use today to make sure that you always have time to build the business, or learn the new hobby, or just see the people that you really care about. So this is why you can always watch more time management and productivity videos, but nothing actually changes. It's because the tip of the iceberg of time management is the tactics like the new calendar or the 2-minute rule. And that's probably about 5% of what actually matters when it comes to managing your time. But the 95%, most of time management, everything comes down to your psychology. It's all about your mindset and the strategy that you have when it comes to time management as a whole. And so there are three really big things that you can do to make sure that your psychology of your time management is right, and that is what's going to make sure that you can do everything that you want. All right, and the first thing is about the big lie about productivity that everybody still believes. The internet has told you that you can build a business, you can get 5% body fat, you can learn 5 different languages, you can learn a new sport, you can do all of these things all at the same time. And all you need to do is split your time appropriately and just do all these time management hacks, and then you can do everything. That is not the case. The only way to be efficient with your time is really, really harsh prioritization. All right, so let's say that you're trying to learn piano, right? Let's say that you start at point 0 and, you invest your time into it at this point, and then you get this good, right? You get a little bit better after you practice one time. And then people think that you stay at that point. They think that you stay, at this point, and then the next time that you invest your time into, practicing, then you're already here, and then, you increase a little bit more, and you get this regular increasing every time that you try to practice something. But that's not how it works. Really what happens in your brain is that every single time that you're not doing something, that circuit gets weaker and weaker. So if, it takes this long for you to practice again, then your sort of skill is slowly decreasing. And so you're actually starting from a different point. You're actually starting from maybe like halfway between where you were and where you were at the end of that first practice. And so actually the amount that you increase, you probably end up like, maybe just about the same, maybe slightly higher than you were last time. And so really, it's very, very slow to make progress. So when you're trying to juggle 5 different goals at once, you have a larger amount of time between each of the time that you practice any one, right? And so you get very, very slow progress. And then it feels like you're not getting anywhere. But actually, say on the converse, let's say you do something differently. Let's say this is your only priority. Your playing piano is the only priority that you have. And so you do it every single day. So every single day, you're doing a practice. And so actually, your skill set is decreasing at the same sort of rate. But then because it's not been that much time between them, you're actually probably similar to where you were before. And so then you're starting here, and then you can get that increase, right? You can get that increase as though the practice was going to give you. And then you're there now. And then the next time, because there hasn't been that much time between that time, your skills haven't decreased that much, and you go up here. And then the same thing happens, and you keep going up, and then eventually, that's how you get the most progress. This is what learning a skill actually looks like. Every single time that you have a gap between the time in which you're doing that activity, you get slightly worse at it over time. And so that means that if after this point, right, you take a long time before you practice again, you're worse than you were before. So when people say that, oh, if I haven't played a long time, I get rusty, it's because your skill set has decayed over time. This is why prioritizing your time is so important. You can't focus on 5 different goals all at once. You have to have one specific goal. That's what I would recommend. One specific goal that means the most to you right now, and then you can get this compounding growth, right? If you keep trying to do things, you keep trying to like cycle through different things, the gap increases and your progress slows down. So how do you prioritize effectively? You have to pick one thing. Pick one thing and then do things in seasons. What you do is, for a few months or even a year, you focus on one thing. Then you cycle and pick a new thing. And then that is how you accumulate these different skills or these hobbies over the whole entirety of your life, is by doing them, you being obsessed with them at some point and then doing that for a long time and then changing to another thing. And then after I've said that, you might think, well, I won't have enough time to do everything that I want to do in life. And really, I have to be harsh with you. There's not enough time. There is so many things that you want to do. There's not enough time to do everything that you want to do, right? I wish I could learn an instrument. I wish I could play basketball. I wish I could, learn a new language and go traveling wherever. But there is not enough time to do everything that you want, right? What you have to do to prioritize your time, like truly prioritize, is to only do the things that you need to do, that you would hate yourself if you didn't do. And so yeah, I can't do all of those things. But deep down, even though I'd want to, I can live with it if my life doesn't involve those things. But there are certain things that I would hate myself if I didn't do, like doing this channel. I would hate myself if I didn't do it, and so this takes priority. The rest of them don't make the cut. And so you need to find out the few things that are non-negotiable to have in your life, the things that on your deathbed, if you didn't do, you would hate yourself and feel like your life wasn't well spent. And that's harsh, right? You don't have enough time to do everything that you want to do, everything that you're interested in. But one of the other slightly more harsh things is that the people that you spend time with, you have to treat them exactly the same way. You should not go out with somebody that is your acquaintance that just invited you out just because you don't want to make them sad. You should spend time with the people that you would hate yourself if you didn't spend time with. So I'll explain the second thing with an analogy, with you as, like a nice little car. All right, so as your car, you have like a standard route to get from, A to B. You have the standard route, you go all the way here and then you end up at B, right? And now you have now been told by a really good friend of yours that there's a shortcut, right? All the way through and you can get there faster. That is like the tactics that people give you, right? They give you a new time management hack, right? That's the shortcut. But now there's one thing. What is the one thing that even though you have the shortcut, is still going to determine whether you do or do not get from A to B? Even if you have the optimal path, if you do not have enough fuel, you are not going to get from A to B. And so the second rule is that energy management is before time management. So if you're not sleeping enough and your diet is full of refined carbs and processed foods, then even if you have the best calendar, you're not going to stick to it. And the next thing is to use hours before work. Everybody just treats it as time, right? They treat it as you have a 24-hour day and then there's just regular intervals. And each interval, 6 to 7 a.m. is the same as 8 to 9 p.m. That's right when it comes to talking about time. But when you start talking about energy, you understand that that's all wrong. So let's say this is your work time. Cool. And what you need to know is that say you've woken up from sleep here and you go to bed here. Really, the most effective period of time is here. After you come back from work and all of your energy is gone, these hours are not the same as these hours anymore. So if there's really something you need to work hard on, right? You want to start a business or you want to start learning a hobby or whatever, something for you, not for your employer, do it here. And then the next thing is to manage your decision making. Decisions cost energy and they cost time. Every time that you're wondering, what should I do today? That costs energy and time, and you don't have that. So what you should do is make decisions before and put it into a timetable of sorts, right? And then you can make sure that you're doing the most important thing that you need to do at any particular time in the day, right? At the right time, you're doing the right thing, and you don't have to think about what you're doing. Now, I've said this, and this lends to the next point. I know that you have tried to use timetables before. You've had all of these systems that you've wrote on a Notion template or your Google Calendar, but you haven't been able to stick to it. And that's where the next thing comes in. All right, so we need something that forces us to use this calendar, right? There has to be a difference between before, when we've tried to use a calendar and all of these templates and it hasn't worked, and now where you actually want to make a change. So you need something to force you towards it. And this is something that most people are not going to tell you, especially professionals. They like to keep it positive. But really, really, you need deep motivation to do these hard things. You need to have something that keeps you from giving into your natural desires of short-term gratification and conserving energy and staying in your bed. And that, the best thing for a human to be motivated, is fear. But it obviously needs to be the right amount. Too much fear can paralyze you, but the right amount can get you to make sure that you stay on the right path. And so, if you are genuinely serious about making a change right now, I have some homework for you called the Parallel Universe Task. The Parallel Universe Task is where you think about what your life looks like if you continue the way that you are, right? You continue how you are on this side, and on the opposite, in the other parallel universe, you've done everything that you need to do. What you need to do is sit down with a piece of pen and paper and write down what it looks like in universe 1 and universe 2 at different intervals, right? What happens at 1 month in universe 1 and 2? What does your life look like? Who are you? How do you feel about your life? You do that after 1 month. Cool. And then you do that after 1 year. What do you think happens? And then, who are you? You know, in this situation, you could be a very, very, very different person to this person. And then after that, do it for 10 years. You do it for 10 years, these people are very, very different people. And then you realize that everything that you do today matters for the rest of your life. Because you realize that in life, things do not move linearly, right? When you win like this. And when you lose, you can start in the same place and you lose like that. And so you end up in a very, very different position. All it takes is what you did right now. And so if nothing has worked, you need to realize that everything that you do today matters for the rest of your life. And because today matters, you get scared about what happens if you don't stick to your timetable. If you don't do the right thing, you can literally create your own worst nightmare as your whole life. Now, these are the 3 concepts that you need to understand when it comes to the psychology of managing your time. But if you want to learn how to create infinite energy for yourself so you always have enough energy to do the things that you really want to do with your time, then click this video on screen where I show my method and my system for making sure I always have enough energy.